According to our Adrian Wojnarowski, the Miami Heat and the Phoenix Suns are on KD's wish list of landing spots, but the Nets aren't tied to honoring any of his preferred destinations. And they plan to make a deal that gives them the greatest return of assets. So we'll wait, see where he lands. Perk, I'm going to start with you on this one. Would you rather see KD stay in the East, or should he go back out west?
I want Kevin Durant in the Western Conference. I want to see the Western Conference get back to the old Western Conference, because right now the East is actually better than the West. When you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, when you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, the Toronto Raptors, just look at the record in the play-in tournament. You know, you look at the Atlanta Hawks, they didn't make the playoffs, and they were 4 or 5 games over 500. The New Orleans Pelicans made the playoffs in the Western Conference, and I believe they were 15 games under 500. So I want to see Kevin Durant go back to the West, up the West a little bit, go over there and compete with Luka and Steph and Kawhi and LeBron and make that conference a little bit more powerful again. I would like to see Kevin Durant in the Western Conference.
For all those reasons, I want to see him in the East. I want to see more parity in the Eastern Conference. It felt like we were finally there this year with 4 teams that teetered on the edge of being really, really good, and I'd like to see it get added, up the ante now that with the Miami Heat, PJ Tucker leaving, so you lose one of your best glue guys, one of your best defenders. That goes and makes the Philadelphia 76ers an even better team. So it kind of feels like it's a top-heavy conference right now between the Milwaukee Bucks, the Boston Celtics, and the Philadelphia 76ers, and I don't like where that gap seems to be widening between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Miami Heat. And I know that we heard what was coming out of Las Vegas yesterday, that Nets general manager Sean Marks and Heat general manager Andy Ellisberg had a meal together. I don't know, maybe they just enjoy each other's company and like to eat food like the rest of us, but it's a good sign that the Heat at least appear to be still pursuing this thing. I know that there are a ton of obstacles that would have to get cleared out of the way, the designated rookie max deal and not being able to have Ben Simmons and Bam Adebayo on the same roster. They would have to be the trade first in order to make that happen. But we've talked about it before, the friendship, maybe frenemies, who knows? Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler together on one team could either be explosively bad or explosively great. I will take the latter. I like seeing these superstar duos in the Eastern Conference, whether it's Giannis and Chris Middleton, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and now getting to potentially fathom Jimmy Butler and Kevin Durant in the Eastern Conference with the Miami Heat. If there's anybody who claims that he needs to legitimize those first 2 titles, there's no better place to go do it than by doing it in the Eastern Conference and with the Miami Heat.
Well, before I answer, I got to address one thing that you said, is that the 76ers, you said by getting PJ Tucker, they've widened the gap between them and the Miami Heat.
I think the Philadelphia 76ers are ahead of the Heat right now in terms of the odds. Not only just the odds to win the Eastern Conference next year, but just the hierarchy. For me, it goes Milwaukee, Boston, Philadelphia, and then now the gap is getting a little bigger between Philly and then Miami.
Well, Miami's better than Philly, so I think that Philly probably closed the gap between them a little bit. But I get your point. I don't think that – anyway, I think that KD going down to Miami would be fun, but I'd rather have him in the West for the simple fact that I want to see KD versus Golden State in a playoff series. That's all I want. I just want a 7-game series of Kevin Durant with whatever team he ends up on. I think he probably won't go to New Orleans, but that seems like a really attractive spot where you could make a package that you could send to Brooklyn that they would accept and also keep a team there that'd be really, really impressive. I'd love to see him go to New Orleans or maybe even Phoenix, somewhere like that, in a position where he can get to a playoff series, a 7-game series where we can have all the Warriors fans who are talking about KD was never the bus driver and we don't need KD. Maybe you don't need him now, but it sure as hell looked like you needed him back then. And maybe he wasn't driving the bus, but I don't know, he was the GPS or something, because it seemed like in late game situations, they sure as hell gave that man the wheel an awful lot in those important situations. So all the intrigue and drama around a Western Conference series, even if it's the first round, I'd love it if it was in the conference finals. But no matter what, I want to see 7 games of Steve Kerr trying to figure out what the hell to do with KD again. And Steph Curry also trying to further cement his legacy as one of the top players of all time. I can't imagine a better scenario than that. So I want him in the West.
No, and guess what? To add to that point, Dominique, I love that you brought up him against Golden State, because no matter how old or how many times they didn't battle each other, we still would love to see Kevin Durant and LeBron James. We still want to see, Kevin Durant against a Luka Doncic. I want to see Kevin Durant against a Kawhi Leonard. And so with that being said, with him being in that conference, it almost is up the ante and give it a higher percentage that we actually can see that type of basketball. But I want to go back to Courtney's point. I think you're dismissing a few of those teams in the Eastern Conference, or overlooking them, shall I say. When you look at the Atlanta Hawks, with the addition of Murray, they just got better. Still got Trae Young. They still got DeAndre Hunter, as far as them three making up what you could call somewhat of a little small big three. Okay, then you look at the strides that the Cleveland Cavaliers have taken, right? You got Evan Mobley, and you got Darius Garland. You got Jared Allen over there. That team is going to be in the thick of things with the way J.B. Bickerstaff is handling them. And then you got the Toronto Raptors over there, who quietly just made a push and shocked the world. They're not going anywhere. So when I look at the Eastern Conference, they're still just a much better conference than the West.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.